because there was no way I was going to miss preparing a dish for thee, Mr. Tony Molina."
"You sacrificed your parents' 50th wedding anniversary party to cook for Mr. Molina?" the prosecutor asked, glancing wide-eyed at the jury, as if she was surprised to hear this news and hadn't worked it into her prepared questioning of the witness.
"Yes, of course my parents understood. They knew how much I loved Mr. Molina."
Poppy glanced back over to Tony, who sat up straight, a stoic look on his face. The prosecutor also looked over at Molina and shook her head, disgusted, before returning her attention back to Chef Chi-Chi. "Take us through what happened after Mr. Molina arrived with his party."
"Well, I greeted them personally and offered them drinks on the house. He was there with his wife."
"Tofu."
"Yes."
Poppy thought Chef Chi-Chi had suddenly shifted gears to talk about what everyone had ordered before remembering that Tony Molina was married to a woman named Tofu, a songstress best known for singing the theme song from a Timothy Dalton-era James Bond movie. Like Cher, Rihanna, and Beyoncé, Tofu had at one time been popular enough to go by just one name. Tofu was not in attendance for the trial. In fact, the only family member present was Tony's handsome 20-something son from his first marriage, Dominic. He sat in the gallery, dutifully loyal, with a look of dismay on his face, as if he could not believe his poor father had to go through all this drama. Chef Chi-Chi continued his testimony.
"There was also his business manager, Mr. Kurtzman, and the stand-up comedian who always opens for him, whose name I forget."
"Robbie Stone," the prosecutor offered helpfully.
"Yes, right, Mr. Stone. Oh, and also Mr. Molina's 2 bodyguards, a man and a woman. I remember thinking how cool it was that Tony invited 2 of his employees to have dinner with him. It struck me as very nice, and—"
The prosecutor was not happy with Chef Chi-Chi complimenting the accused, so she promptly cut him off. "Then what happened?"
"I had some calamari sent over and told one of my waitresses, Mary Grace, to go over and take their order. Mr. Molina ordered the steak, not the steak Molina that I had named after him that is on all my menus at all my restaurants. He ordered the steak bordelaise, which is a New York steak with sautéed mushrooms, garlic, and a red wine demi-glace sauce."
"And how did he request his steak be prepared?"
Chef Chi-Chi frowned. "Medium well."
"And was the steak medium well when it was served to Mr. Molina?"
Chef Chi-Chi shrugged. "I thought it was. It was slightly pink when I last checked it, and so I prepared the plate and gave it to Mary Grace to take it out to him."
The prosecutor folded her arms and shot Tony Molina a knowing look. "What happened next?"
"The next thing I knew, Mr. Molina came storming into the kitchen. He was carrying the steak in his hand and started screaming at me that I had overcooked it. Then he threw it against the wall. I thought he was going to bean our busboy Raoul in the head, but luckily the steak missed him by a few inches."
"But you were not so lucky as Raoul, were you, Chef?" Chef Chi-Chi glanced around at all the people in the courtroom, embarrassed.
"No. I tried to apologize to Mr. Molina, and I started to tell him that I would cook him a new steak, but he wasn't interested in listening to anything I had to say at that point."
"What did Mr. Molina do?"
He picked up a frying pan that was on the stovetop and he hit me on the head with it,"
Chef Chi-Chi muttered. Poppy looked around at her fellow jurors, all of whom, by the luck of the draw during jury selection, were men. She was the lone woman on the entire jury. Most of them had appalled looks on their faces as they listened to Chef Chi-Chi recount the assault at his restaurant on the night in question, aptly named Chi-Chi's, one of the more popular Italian eateries in Palm Springs. "Did he hit you really hard, or, as the defense maintains, just tap you with it to show his displeasure?" the prosecutor asked with a smirk on her face because she was already acutely aware of his answer.
"He hit me kind of hard."
"How hard, Chef?"
"The blow knocked me out cold," he said softly.
"In fact, when you awoke hours later, you were in a hospital room, is that correct?" Chef Chi-Chi nodded and sighed.
"Yes, ma'am."
"The doctors informed you that you had a concussion."
"That's right."
"All because Mr.